The idea that we need high cholesterol levels in order to produce testosterone is absolutely ludicrous. All right, I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today because this is one of the myths that I see. I've seen it in my own video comments. This is also something I see on social media and Facebook. Where I will see people make these claims. Like it's the claims that people make for why you need to eat large amounts of red meat. Right? You'll see it coming out of keto groups, carnivore groups. You'll also see the same thing in comments, and they'll say, look, testosterone is made out of cholesterol. It's a cholesterol type molecule. It's made from these things. Therefore, if we have more cholesterol, we will produce more testosterone. Okay, and this is how do I put a ludicrous myth? Your body's ability to make testosterone is in no way dependent or correlated with your blood levels of cholesterol, and particularly unhealthy blood levels. That's the fascinating thing. When you look at this, we generally see poor blood work and poor lipid profiles associated with low testosterone. Why? Because they're correlated with obesity. Okay. In other words, before we even get into causation, let's just look at actual correlation. Okay. Having higher body fat levels and being obese is generally correlated with higher levels of cholesterol, right, in your blood work. They're heavily associated. In other words, the mere act of gaining excess body fat seems to increase cholesterol. Right? Everyone follow this so far? So therefore, one would almost assume that if people are walking around with elevated cholesterol, that we would see a trend, right? We would see a trend in higher testosterone levels if they're walking around with more body fat. But we don't. We see the exact opposite. We literally see the opposite. We see a downward trend in testosterone levels, okay? We've been observing it for a couple of generations now. We are seeing lower levels of testosterone in men, in Western men. All right. The leading experts believe that this is caused by obesity, that our elevated body fat levels are actually reducing testosterone, okay? They're increasing estrogen conversion in men and lowering overall testosterone. Now, is that to say that's the only cause? No, there's definitely some data suggesting that things like microplastics, environmental toxins, all these things are contributing, okay? There's absolutely evidence of that. But what do we find? We find on average, Western men have lower levels of testosterone. They're going down, and it seems to be, it's heavily correlated with obesity, obviously, but most of the experts think that's the actual cause. In other words, our poor metabolic health is causing poor hormonal health, right? Abusing our bodies, having all this extra inflammation and everything from it is causing it. But the thing is, we also see elevated cholesterol as a result of this, okay? If this elevated cholesterol was useful for boosting testosterone, wouldn't we see some correlation? In other words, the testosterone shouldn't be going down. Our cholesterol's up. So clearly in this case, it's not boosting it. It's not boosting it. All right, so you have that to factor in. But then when we look at data, there's no reason to think that our testosterone levels are in any way dependent on it. Why? Because we have cholesterol in our blood. Okay, in other words, LDL is considered to be the bad cholesterol. There's causation that's been very heavily studied in the lab. We know it causes atherosclerosis. We know that the levels that cause no buildup, the relatively low levels, are still way more than we need to make testosterone. So in other words, you start looking at LDL levels, they'll want you on a statin if they start exceeding 100. Anything under 70 causes no buildup of atherosclerosis at all. There's limited data that going low like that might help reverse it, but I want to be clear, that is a big might, and that is an extremely controversial statement to make. But that area, those amounts, people still produce testosterone just fine. In other words, yes, you need a little bit of cholesterol to make testosterone, but we're going to have a little no matter what. Furthermore, anytime our body needs cholesterol, it has no trouble making a little bit. Because in other words, you look at a diet that causes really low levels, it's low levels. It's not zero. It's not zero. Furthermore, you take the societies around the world that have diets extremely low in fat, low in saturated fat, who their populations have extremely low levels of cholesterol, atherosclerosis, heart disease. Do those men make testosterone? They make it just fine. Have they continued to reproduce and grow their populations? Yeah, they do it just fine. The men are having no problems with their virility. There's none. I want to be clear there. There's none. There's no indication that there's a lack of virility. These cultures and societies are making babies and reproducing just fine. They're also not suffering from clinically low levels of testosterone like we are. It's not even a factor. And here's the other thing I would point out. This is not how you boost testosterone. Low testosterone levels are a sign of poor health. Okay? In other words, you don't need to be looking at, hey, what can this one thing I do to boost testosterone? You need to be looking at a low testosterone as a side effect of a poor lifestyle. And it shouldn't be the only hormone you're concerned with. What I would suggest to people that if you're fit, you eat a balanced diet with no nutritional deficiencies, you're physically active, you exercise, you work out, you maintain healthy levels of muscle mass, you maintain healthy levels of body fat, and you're fit, you're going to tend to have a better hormone profile. Because again, a side effect of being healthy overall, a lot of your blood markers tend to be healthy to reflect your healthy lifestyle. So what I would suggest to people, if you're really wanting to boost your testosterone outside of going to a doctor and having it done pharmaceutically, why don't you just be healthy? Why don't you eat a balanced diet with plenty of whole foods and work out? And avoid alcohol, avoid smoking, avoid recreational drugs. That's your solution. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.